champions collide.
This is not a fight for the faint of heart.
Expect all action. A fearless attack to win at any cost.
Oh!
And a fight destined to be an all-out war.
I am the end.
Toe-to-toe we go.
Luis Neri and Brandon Figueroa clash for the world title.
This action is going to be en fuego.
This is the end.
On Showtime.
UFC 262 is coming this weekend with some big names on the card, from Tony Ferguson to Michael Chandler.
And DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, has a heavyweight offer for you. 100-1 odds, one fighter gets the belt, but who will get the cash? Secure
the bag with DraftKings. Just pick the main event fighter you think will win, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 100-1 odds on that fighter.
That's right. Bet $1 on select fighters, and if they win, you win $100.
And if MMA isn't your thing, DraftKings Sportsbook has great odds and promotions on basketball, hockey, and so much more.
DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience.
Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code SMOKE when signing up and turn $1 into $100 when you bet on the main card fighter to win.
That's code SMOKE to turn $1 into $100 on select main card fighters in this weekend's UFC card for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
What's the one purchase you made when you got the bag when you look back and think it probably wasn't the best idea?
I think every decision I made was a great idea. It was just I just learned from them.
You had the most change. You had the most cars.
I got an advance for $25,000. I went and picked up Mike Bibby, my little brother and his sister, and we spent 23 of it in the mall.
I got an $80,000 brand new BMW, and I don't even know how much I had in the bank after that. The red light was on my bank account at the end of every summer, bro, so I couldn't wait for the first checks to come. Welcome back to another edition of What's Burning. With the playoffs right around the corner, everyone's in their final playoff push starting this Tuesday with the Phoenix Suns versus the Golden State Warriors. Phoenix has been a top 5 defense all season long and one of only 4 teams to be in the top 10 on the defensive and offensive end. Golden State is holding on to that A spot securely. The Jazz are only 1 game ahead of Phoenix for the number 1 spot. So, Jack, let's talk about this matchup on Tuesday and potentially seeing this as a first-round matchup.
Well, both teams have done great this year. Nobody expected Golden State to be in the position they're in, and nobody expected Phoenix to be able to win the West. But the matchup is kind of scary because the tempo of the game really fits Golden State. Both teams can play this tempo, but the season Steph's been having, it would be a tough series for Phoenix to get out of, and I can't promise they're gonna get out of it. But it would definitely be must-see TV.
You know, I agree with everything you said, plus the experience. This is a team with, Golden State's coming out of a dynasty. Although they don't have Clay right now, they still have, Draymond and Steph, and those two alone have been able to rally the Warriors this far. Steph's been on fire, leading the league in scoring, and this is definitely a scary matchup for Phoenix. Playoff to get head-to-head matchups between Steph and Chris. They're 9-9 in the playoffs against each other. I was in the front row for a lot of those matchups, and those two, whenever they play off each other in the playoffs, it's always going to be special. So definitely looking forward to this Tuesday's game and potentially it's being a first-round matchup. Next up, we got the Knicks and Lakers. Although they have identical records, they're both heading in 2 different directions. The Lakers are in the 7th seed right now, which is a play-in spot, 1 game behind the Blazers in 6th. The Knicks are securely holding on to that 4th seed. Jack, word is Bron might play Tuesday. We're starting to see AD come into form. Thoughts on this matchup and the Lakers moving forward, if not healthy?
Well, the Lakers not going to be the team that we want them to be without LeBron on the court. As like you said, AD played well. He's starting to come back to the old AD. But a healthy team, a healthy Lakers team, a healthy team that's on the same page, has been playing together, that's the team that you want to see. Right now, you don't know what Lakers team you're going to see. And against the Knicks, yes, it'll be a good game for the Knicks to win. But we're talking about the Lakers team that we want to see in the playoffs that's going to be in the West Conference Finals that possibly win the championship. That's the only way I see the Lakers team. So any other way that this Lakers team is built or any other lineup that they have without LeBron and AD and the full lineup, it's just not going to be right to me.
Yeah. Well, I think all season long we've been saying and other people saying as long as the Lakers are healthy, they could be odds-on favorite to come out of the West. But let's play devil's advocate and say they're not as healthy as they need to be. And LeBron is still nagged by a high ankle sprain, and AD is not the normal AD. Who else do you see having a chance to come out of the West if that's the case?
Well, I definitely see the Clippers having a chance, and I see if Phoenix can find a way not to wrestle with Golden State or deal with them in the first round and have an easy walk to the Western Conference Finals, they probably can get out of there. But I don't know. It's still up for grabs with them. But I would have to go with the Clippers right now because they have guys that have proven that they can take their team to the top, and they have some key pieces that we know that's going to help them in the playoffs with Rondo and Boogie Cousins.
Absolutely, and I think the Clippers have. I agree with you 100%. Clippers have been kind of flying under the radar. You know, Lakers have been taking all the heat this year, good and bad. Clippers have been flying under the radar. But I think my dark horse team is because they've been in the mix for the last 4 or 5 years. Is Portland. They're not playing their best basketball right now, but they're getting everybody healthy. And we know a healthy Portland team led by Dame and CJ, Melo, got the big fella back. They could definitely be dangerous in the playoffs. So this is going to be interesting to watch if the Lakers aren't fully healthy headed into the playoffs. Big week ahead for both the Celtics and the Heat. The Heat were able to knock the Celtics off yesterday. They play again on Tuesday. And most likely, if the Heat win again, that's going to bump the Celtics into the play-in situation. But the Heat can also climb. I think the Heat can climb as high as possibly 4. Right now they're at 6. Their remaining 4 games are against the Celtics, the 76ers, the Bucks, and the Pistons. Jack, what do you think about this Jimmy Butler-led team? I mean, this was a team that came on late in the bubble last year and made a run to the finals. Trevor Reeves has been playing great. Really happy he got picked up. He's in the starting lineup now, playing really well. Thoughts on this team getting hot at the right time? Because this is what it's all about.
I mean, that's one thing about them. They're going to be ready to play at any time. And having a healthy team, guys been playing well all year. You know, I'm not really worried about seeding in the Eastern Conference with any team because, you know, you can throw any team up or put any team in a series matchup and anybody can win in the East. I think the only teams that really matter is that 1 and 2 spot, you know, with Philadelphia and Brooklyn. I really don't see Milwaukee being much of a problem in the playoffs, even though they've been playing well towards the end. So, but I know that Miami, when they show up in the playoffs with the attitude that team comes with, you know, they can play against anybody, any round, and any seeding. I'm not worried about them. It's just the other teams in there that possibly just going to get thrown in the shuffle.
Agreed. You know, the Celtics haven't necessarily helped themselves. They've been mediocre at best, up and down all season. But the one thing I give them the nod for is the experience, you know, so just to be able to get in. Like you said, seeding doesn't really matter because you have teams that have been to the Eastern Conference Finals down at the bottom now. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. But, you know, agreed, I still think the head of the class is the Sixers and the Nets. But, you know, health is going to be very important coming into these playoffs and getting hot at the right time. And I think the Heat are a perfect example of what can happen when you get hot at the right time. So it's going to be an interesting Final 4 games for both these teams to see who secures a spot and who has to do the play-in work. But it's definitely something we'll keep our eye on. Next up, the team I just spoke on a little bit earlier, the Blazers. Man, they got hot, won 7 out of their last 10 games. They faced the Rockets, Jazz, Suns, and Nuggets to round out the season. They're currently 1 game above the Lakers for that 6th secure playoff spot. Jack, thoughts on this team? We're obviously big fans of Dame, CJ, Melo. Thoughts on this team being able to hold that 6th spot and what kind of damage they could do in the playoffs?
Well, we haven't seen this team, Matt, in 3 years. The big fella's been out. You know, guys have been in and out. We haven't seen this full team. They even made trades, so we don't even know what this whole team look like, but we know the dynamic of the team: Melo, Dame, CJ, and Nurkic. So we know these guys can get the job done. So I'm excited to see this team, man. I know they can really do some work and be like we were in 07 when we upset Dallas. I think this team can really go far in the playoffs and probably the scariest team right now.
Yeah, this is my sleeper team coming into the playoffs is this team. And I think they're the sleeper only because of what you said. This team has a knack for being injured. But everyone getting healthy at the right time. I think that Norman Powell acquisition is going to be big for them. Someone who could do it on both ends of the floor. But to me, it is the clock ticking on Portland because they've always been good but never good enough. You know, is this backcourt with Dame and CJ? Has it ran their term? Do they still have more in the tank. Like I said, obviously we're both big fans of them. We would love to see them do more, but they've kind of been stuck in that second round exit, able to make it to Western Conference Finals, I think, once. What do you think about, kind of the clock ticking on this backcourt and this team in particular in Portland?
Yeah, man. We love to see it. We love the loyalty.
Right.
We love the brotherhood and the camaraderie, but it has to transition to winning. And I know, and we both know they all want to win,
Right.
but sometimes certain dynamics, as much as you want it to work, it just don't work. And like I said, I like how they look now. It's the first time we actually seeing a full healthy team. But if this continues to go on a year or two from now, you definitely gonna have to look at making some changes.
Yeah. Obviously we wish them the best of luck. I think obviously, they were at their best when the Warriors were at their best. I think the Warriors kept Houston and Portland from really shining during their dynasty as far as the Western Conference. So now that the Warriors aren't as dominant anymore, we got to see if Portland can get their shit together and get up in there and really make some noise. But again, I think they're going to be my sleeper team of the playoffs this year, and I'm excited to see what they can do. To round out the week, last but not least, we got the Warriors versus the Grizzlies. Most likely the winner of this game will secure the 8th seed. And Jack, if you secure the 8th seed, you have the pleasure of being able to lose that 7-8 play-in, but still have an opportunity to make the playoffs when you play the 9-10 winner. So this is going to be a big game. Jaren Jackson's been out all season since he's been back. They've been 2-6, struggling a little bit. But this team is loaded, man. I think they got 7 guys averaging over 10 points a game and 2 guys right at 9. Very young and up-and-coming Memphis Grizzlies team. We know what the Warriors are. This is supposed to be the season that Steph was supposed to be exposed, but all he's done is lead the league in scoring and amazed us the entire season. So thoughts on this upcoming game and who you think will secure that 8th spot?
I got to go with Steph. I actually just seen Ja. Shout out Ja. He told me to tell you what up to, man. I saw him in Memphis.
Yes, sir.
A good kid. He's been playing great, man. I think what he's done for that team and that organization definitely deserves a lot of praise. But what Steph's doing right now and just his experience and the numbers right now, I just see them winning this game and getting into that playoffs. I love, like I said, I love Ja. It's hard to go against from the way he's been going, but Steph is just such a game changer. Like you said, we didn't expect too much from him this year. He's exceeded all expectations with this team, and I think he's going to continue to do that till the fire runs out.
You want to have the best player on the court in all situations, but particularly in these play-in situations. That Steph will be the best player on the court in any play-in game that comes, to be honest with you, in my opinion, and that's saying a lot. I think this Memphis team is 1 or 2 years away. They got a good young core with Jackson and Morant and what's the kid's name from Oregon who's the shooting guard?
Brooks.
Like slow-mo, shout out UCLA. They got a really nice young core. So, like I said, I think this team is a season or 2 away. In this particular setting, I agree. I'm gonna take the Warriors because Steph is the best player on the court. He's playing well right now. Memphis isn't playing as well right now. So, like I said, this is always going to be a fun matchup when you get 2 great point guards. But I'm definitely taking Golden State in this game and to lock up that 8th seed. Allowing them the opportunity, if they happen to lose in that 7-8 game, to have another chance to lock that 8th spot in. Next up on the radar, presented to you by DraftKings. We got odds on who's most likely to take the title this year and where some of them started at in the preseason. So right now, leading the charge, the Nets are a plus 200. They started at a plus 600 in the preseason. I think obviously adding James Harden and this team getting their chemistry together has kind of put them at the top of the chart. So they'll be interesting to watch. The Lakers are at a plus 400, dropping them down. To begin of the season, they're a plus 275. Obviously, injuries play a big key into what they're going to do and if they're going to be able to repeat. The team I really like, the Clippers, are at a plus 550, have been consistent throughout the year. They've stayed under the radar and just been playing and getting their shit together. The Jazz, even though they're number 1 in the East, they're at a plus 700, but a drastic jump from the preseason. They're at a plus 4,000. So that'll be interesting to keep their eye on. Bucks at a plus 750. Like the Clippers in the Eastern Conference, they've just been under the radar, steadily doing what they do, playing different rotations, hopefully being prepared the most they can be in the playoffs. But we all know Giannis has to be that regular season player in the playoffs for them to make any noise. Sixers are at a plus 1,000, even though they lead the East. Suns plus 1,400. Another drastic jump. They are a plus 4,000 in the preseason. And last but definitely not least, the Nuggets at a plus 3,500. So, Jack, you got the odds. Throwing all the odds out the window, what do you like about this list, and who do you like?
Well, I mean, I can give you my 2 picks. I think the safe bet for anybody would be to go with the Nets. They're going to be healthy. We know they got some killers on their team. We know they're going to be around somewhere around, hurt or not. That team going to be somewhere in the rankings. So you ain't got to worry about that one. I think if you want to take a chance and want to, throw your bones out there, I think you should try with the Bucks because, we know they haven't showed, Giannis hasn't showed to be that player that we need to see in the postseason, but he's been shooting jumpers. He's been going crazy. And the last 2 times he played Brooklyn, he gave him 50 almost both nights. So if you want to gamble, I will gamble on the Bucks and Giannis because anything could happen.
Agreed. I think the Nets are the safe money. To me, at plus 400, the Lakers are still a little bit of a scary money because everything rides on their 2 players. My 2 sleepers, again, out of this list, I like the Bucks, but I like the Clippers. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think the NBA would want it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Bucks-Clippers finals. Like I said, these 2 teams have stayed under the radar, got stars on both sides playing well. So it's going to be an interesting run. So safe money's the Nets, man. It's hard to go against KD, Kyrie, and James. So if you're a betting person and you like to play it safe, there you go. It's the Nets. Next up, our favorite segment, fan questions. Let's get right into it. Miguel Di Pueblo, I guess, excuse me for butchering your name. What do you miss most from your NBA lives as a player?
Oh, man. I don't miss the game too much playing-wise. I think my body done ran out of energy for the game. I think I just miss, the brotherhood, man. We traveling and going out to eat, the good times, the best memories. Yeah. It's not too much of playing because, everybody time runs out, and I think I got the most of the game, from playing basketball out of me in my life. I just think just the things I miss most now is being around my brothers, the traveling, and all the good times we had.
I completely agree. The locker rooms, the buses, the planes, going out to eat. There's a lot of fun shit that happens during that time, man. So that I would agree that's the one thing I definitely miss is just kicking it. Kicking it. Like I said, the games are fun, but it became a job at the end and a real business. But the thing that always remained constant and fun was just spending time with your brothers. On the downtime outside of the game. So we definitely both agree on that one.
Next fan question, Mia_Poindexter76. Why didn't Hall of Fame players like Shaq and Kobe win more MVPs?
Great question. I don't know. I've always kind of wondered this, and because there was times where you think, Kobe could have ran off a handful of them, Shaq could have ran off a handful of them, LeBron could have ran off a handful of them. But I think, when you leave it to these writers and these columnists that sometimes carry a jaded point of view about someone that can hurt them, or some of them didn't give them a right interview. There's always personal feelings when it comes to voting, especially when it comes to people who didn't get a chance to play, So, and they like stuff different, you know what I mean? So, tough question, great question. I don't really know the answer. They definitely should have won. Both those guys should have won more than they have. LeBron should have won more than he has. But I just kind of think that's what it is. It is what it is. Your thought? What do you think?
Oh, I know exactly what it is. You have people who've never played a game of basketball in their life voting on who's the best player in the game. And that's just what it is. You got people involved in that decision that don't know what it's like to take a charge, don't know what it's like to shoot a three-pointer, don't even know what it's like to slap the backboard on a layup, Matt. So and it's that drastic. It's that drastic, you know what I mean? I love Steve Nash, but there's no way in hell if you had basketball players who actually played the game, they would have voted for him to win back-to-back MVP. I'm sorry.
Especially the way Kobe was playing at that time.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's no reason that Kobe and Shaq shouldn't have more MVPs.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's a weird system. I don't know all the intricacies about it, but I agree. I think they somehow need to get more people who've actually played voting on this, because when you leave it in the hands of people who haven't played, all that they do their homework and they study, and this is no knock on the people who haven't played, But I just think, like, when you're voting on something, like you said, with all due respect to Steve Nash, the way Kobe was playing at that time, if it was up to the players or more people who had played, there's no way Steve would have won those MVPs over Kobe. But, obviously, shout out to Steve for getting two MVPs. But that's a good question, and who knows if they'll ever fix it. I also think, to add on to that it needs to be over an entire season. Because you saw Giannis win 2 MVPs and then get bounced in the playoffs, early in the playoffs. And to me, how do you have an MVP player that you can't go to down the stretch? MVP means when the game's on the line, you're going to go to the MVP to get the job done. So I definitely think it should open up to the season, the full season, including the playoffs, because like I said, if your MVP should be able to lead you at least to the conference finals.
Yeah, and Steve wouldn't give those MVPs back. But he know he wasn't better than Kobe. He wouldn't say it, but he know he wasn't better than Kobe.
Steve was a motherfucker, though, but definitely no.
He was good. Steve was great, better than me and you, but he wasn't better than Kobe.
The way Kobe was playing at that time, absolutely right. Next up, David Helms _15. Best piece of trash talk you said or heard?
Oh man, I think. Well, I didn't say it so much. I don't know what's the best thing. I didn't say it because I didn't say everything in the book. But heard, man, I remember shooting a 3-pointer in the corner of in Utah, and I heard a fan just say something that I've never heard when I'm shooting. He said, "Oh hell no!" I'm like, and like he was right in my ear. And for somebody to say that, like I just always miss. It threw me all the way off. All I heard was, "Oh hell no!" And I hit all the side of the backboard. I turned around. I'm like, that it threw me all the way off.
That was good defense.
Great D.
Yeah, like you said, man, we didn't play the game so long. Heard a lot of crazy shit. I remember one thing that actually happened off the court. I mean, because I've been fined for talking to fans and all that kind of shit. But I think one thing I heard, and I won't reveal the superstar's name, but I remember when I played in Philly. Here goes a little Mo Cheeks story. One person told Mo Cheeks, just because you wear a motherfucking suit doesn't make you the coach. And I'm thinking like, yo, this is how motherfuckers are talking to coaches these days. And then another situation was between when I played for the Clippers, me and Floyd Mayweather got into it because he was a Clipper fan the whole season. And then LeBron came to the Cavs, and this nigga had his pom-poms out for the Cavs. I'm like, bro, you're at every one of our games cheering for us, and now you just dick riding the Cavs. So me and him went back and forth on some crazy X-rated, can't be said type shit. But that was fun. But I think trash talking is what makes the game dope. And I think, unfortunately, we kind of caught the last of being able to at least say a little bit because we couldn't even say much. But back in the day, they used to really jaw and go back and forth. And now the game is so soft and the refs are so fucking weak that you can't really say or do anything without getting a T or getting fined. So I think the days of trash talking are behind us, unfortunately.
But Matt, this is what I understand. They won't let you trash talk, but somebody get dunked on, you let the whole bench run on the court in front of the referees and all that. You know what I mean? Like they be contradicting themselves so much, bro.
I think Jimmy and Kat got into it just the other day, I think, and Jimmy said some slick shit to him. So it's still there every once in a while, but I just think as far as on a consistent note, trash talking is kind of a thing of the past. KG was one of the great trash talkers in the history of the game. That motherfucker would say anything, anytime, anywhere.
Yep, I loved it. Next fan question, Ed Kane 2 times. Which team in the play-in spot do you think can steal a playoff spot?
Golden State. I think we talked about them earlier. Anytime you have probably the person that's going to lead the league in scoring is Steph Curry. Draymond's expertise on both ends of the floor and just their experience. Not saying that they're going to go crazy and make some unprecedented run, but I could definitely see them messing around and securing a spot and winning a first-round matchup, whether it be against Utah or Phoenix. Maybe we could be dead off and Utah and Phoenix end up beating the shit out of them, but I just don't see it. Like I said, I think the way Steph plays, you said early alone, Steph can get you a couple games all by himself. So if they get Oubre and Wiggins back, everybody healthy, everyone on the same page, the Warriors are going to be, this is the one year that, an 8 beating a 1 or a 7 beating a 2 isn't that crazy.
I definitely agree. You said everything that I would say. Got to go with Golden State. I would never go against Steph again like I went against him when he got drafted. So, yeah, I'm going with Steph.
Next question coming from Jordan Griffin 07. What's the one purchase you made when you got the bag, when you look back and think it probably wasn't the best idea?
Oh, man, let's see. Well, I think every decision I made was a great idea. It was just I just learned from them.
Bro, you had the most. You had the most change. You had the most cars.
No, I'm gonna tell you though. My first when I first got drafted, Phoenix drafted me and guaranteed me $250,000. And I got a check. I got an advance for $25,000. I went and picked up Mike Bibby, my little brother and his sister, and we spent 23 of it in the mall. Clothes, all new Air Max. Oh yeah, no, ask Mike. Air Max, all the new Jabos, Polos. We bought everything in the mall. And my mom was like, "What do you think?" I was like, "I got more money coming in. I got $2,000 left." You know, I thought I was good, but I had all the clothes in the world. That was the dumbest thing ever.
I think mine was I got called up to play for the Clippers and got 10 days, ended up making the team. And I got like my first 2 paychecks and went and bought like an $80,000 brand new BMW. And I don't even know how much I had in the bank after that. Shit, it was probably just to be able to pay for gas after that. But you know what I mean? When you don't have shit and that first money comes, like you said, you always think you got more coming. When who knows if you really got more coming. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, I probably say really because, like I said, I didn't really get no money until I got into the game. So I probably say like my first 3, 4, or 5 seasons, my bank account was on red at the end of every summer.
You and me both.
Yeah, the end of every summer, bank account, the red light was on my bank account at the end of every summer, bro. So I couldn't wait for them first checks to come. But you got to think, like, that's back then, like, we didn't talk about financial literacy back then. Like, that wasn't something that was a common conversation like it is now. And they weren't really checking for our money and really that kind of attention on saving and investing and planning. That shit was, we were trying to live like the rappers at that time. Cars, jewelry, this, and that. It wasn't really no talking about saving at that time. So,
right.
Hey, at least we made it out with some money.
Right. Next fan question. One take, Doc. Are titles as important as the media and the majority of the fans make it seem? Or does sustained greatness / Hall of Fame trump titles?
I think the later. I think sustained greatness trumps titles, but I think we live in the era of a ring, and if you don't win a ring, you ain't shit for some reason. And I think the titles count more now is because superstars are moving around. Before, if you were a superstar, you just had a good team, you stayed on the team, and if you didn't win, you didn't win. I think with more now the star players moving around, I think they're starting to count rings more because guys are building super teams. But then at the same time, they want to discredit you when you win with the super team. So there's been a lot of great players who didn't win rings, and I don't think that should obviously tarnish. To me, I don't think it should tarnish a body of work that was Hall of Fame worthy.
To me, I just think, the greatest players, the best players are winners. That's just how I look at it. You know what I mean? When you the best player, when you the greatest, when you dominate your whole career, you win. Shaq won, Kobe won, Tim Duncan won, Jordan won, LeBron won, Magic won. You know what I mean? Then you got your superstars like Ray Allen and guys who had to go to teams to get championships. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Ray wasn't great, but he wasn't Kobe. He wasn't Shaq. He wasn't Jordan. You know what I mean? But he still was a superstar in his time. So that's what separates it to me, man. You got guys that carry guys to championships and that are just damn good. You know what I mean? That they bringing their team to win and they winning. But you got people that's good at basketball, they just not winners.
So what would you say to like Barkley never getting one or Karl Malone
Barkley's not a winner. He's a great basketball player. He's just not a winner. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best we've ever seen play the game. He's just not a winner. And I mean, that's not a knock on him. It's just that's what it says on his career. He hasn't won. So he's not a winner. And I mean, that's just how I look at it. The great players, the ones that's supposed to be talked about as the top 10 players, they took their organization, their team to multiple championships. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is with me.
I ain't mad at it. Next up, Divine_Onye. One player you would like to see win a ring this year? Good question.
I would like to see James Harden win a ring.
Ooh.
Perfect example because I had him as him and Kyrie as in my MVP votes. The way James was playing before his hamstring injury, how he just popped up in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and still averaging a triple-double with 20 points. It just blew my mind. And if I want to see anybody win the championship, even though I had certain things to say about James beginning, it wasn't personal about his basketball playing. I just felt, I wanted Steve Silas to look good, and I knew James can make him look good with the way he played basketball and as good as he is. But if I want to see anybody win a ring right now, it would definitely be James Harden.
That's a good call, and I think he has the best odds on a superstar that hasn't won to get one. My two would be Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook. And obviously I think Russell is a lot further away than Chris, but just the way Russ plays day in, day out, we're obviously going to touch on him at the end of the show, his greatness and what he's been able to accomplish. And then CP, one of the greatest floor leaders we've ever seen play this game, a guy that goes and wins everywhere but just hasn't been able to get over the hump, has his team right in the mix this year. So those would probably be my two, but I think James was a great call too. This Thursday, May 13th, one of the interviews you guys have all been asking for a long time. Gilbert Arenas, Agent Zero. Enjoy the teaser. In your prime in D.C., you got a lot of memorable matchups. Young LeBron, AI, Kobe, J-Kidd, to name a few. What one out of those that stand out to you the most or individually?
My hardest matchup was J-Kidd because you got to remember he's 6'4", all of 220. You know what I mean? So I couldn't bully through him, and my speed, he neutralized it because he was just as fast, but he was quick. So when I got to take off, he can get to that spot before I gained. So when I played against J-Kidd, I had to really actually think. I mean, I scored 30, but it was one of those 10 for 21 type games. I never just dominated, J-Kidd. He gave me a run for my money all the time. AI, lucky me, I never actually had to really guard him like that because he was sitting at the 2. So for those years, it was either Larry who was guarding him or Deshaun.
I'm on this highlight tape.
Oh, you is?
Yep.
I mean, I was on his highlight tape, but I was the dude that threw my hand in there like I was fake helping and drop, ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was one of those. Because for some reason, if you had on that number 3, like I was in games where I'm guarding him and he just in chill mode, and he looked and that 3's on that jersey. Ooh.
Oh, he took offense to it.
Oh, he took offense. Oh, he took offense. He'd give him 40 in that 30 seconds if you could. But that was one of the hardest playing, players that I've went against. Steve Nash was hard too, because he did 100 pick and rolls and he's coming one speed. Tony Parker was a good one. Just because that system, that system was, it was one of those I got to go to sleep early tonight because you thinking, defensively they don't make mistakes. Offensively, they're gonna get the best shot. So you going against San Antonio, you're playing a perfect game. You know what I mean? It's a perfect game. You don't got room for failure against them because they gonna cut your legs off every time you do something.
December 06, Staples Center, you against Kobe. You dropped 60 in the overtime game. Talk to us about that.
Oh, that was a build-up. Before that game, I was averaging 33 against the Lakers. You grow up watching them. That game. Home, that's your team. You don't give a fuck what they do. That team you own. And mentally, even my rookie year, I played them. I had 14 in 5 minutes. It was just one of those teams that I just got up for. It was just watching, Kobe's training, before games, how he trained, him watching me there every single time we played him, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm there, waiting for you to finish, and then I'm going. So we already had our shooting. I remember sitting there and man, that I'm giving him all the kudos. It was funny before the game. We were sitting there. He's going because this is the second time working out before the game. So he already worked out once. This is the second time working out. And I was like, man, that man just unstoppable, man. I'm seeing his coaching hacking on him, and he's still putting them shots up. And then, he said it. He said it as soon as jump ball started. Hey, I'm going to shut down Gil.
That's what he said?
Yeah, I'm going to shut down Gil. Smush, you go there. we're gonna go 1-4 flat. If he guards me, I'm going 1-4 flat. That's how we're gonna do this. We're going 1-4 flat. We're just gonna shut this shit down right now. So that was already the mode of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm in attack mode. I'm like, we get it, smush comes, I'm just going. Like just in case. So when Kobe tried to get me, I'm already on some fire. And that's how it was. It was just
That's tough.
Once you got going, it was over.
Once I got going, it was really nothing he was going to do. Yeah. Because I mean, studying a defensive player, I knew I couldn't do the same thing twice against him. So if I hit him with a crossover, I knew I couldn't hit him with the same crossover coming down. So I always had to be, quick pull up. I'm not going to play around with you. You're a great defensive player. I'm not playing around with you. Like, I'm just going to get to the yams. I'm just straight line, shoot it. I don't. I'm not going to sit there and bait because that just feeds into a good defensive guy is going to play to your rhythm. He's gonna pick that shit up, and I'm sitting here like I'm just going to go quick shot 3. Let's go. And that's
one of them nights.
Yeah, one of them nights.
Winding down the show with quick hitters. First up, Jack. Shout out Russell Westbrook, who tied Oscar Robertson with 181 triple doubles. Has 4 games to go this season, starting tonight, to become the all-time triple-double king. Thoughts on this accomplishment?
Not surprised. The way you get triple-doubles is just like opening a bag of grapes and picking a grape out of the bucket. I mean, it's that easy. He get triple-doubles so easy, man. I knew he was going to break this record. I knew this day was coming. I'm just so proud of him because nobody has dealt with more slander and more judgment than basketball than Russell Westbrook. People say all type of stuff about him, but they couldn't walk a day in his shoes. They couldn't even muster or couldn't even buy the energy and the passion that he plays with night by night. So I salute Russ, man. I'm proud of him, and he's definitely going down as probably I can't say the best point guard of all time, but probably the most athletic point guard and the most all-around dominant point guard ever.
Explosive, yeah. Russ is someone who's been knocked. One thing I consider here is a great teammate. But another thing, too, is I think that he has made the triple-double look so easy that people don't appreciate it no more. And triple-doubles aren't easy to get. If you look at the history of the game, how many people have played, triple-doubles are hard. Very hard to get, and he makes it look easy, and I think that's how it's kind of almost watered down the accomplishment. But, man, tremendous accomplishment. Just love Russ, man. Someone I would take to war 10 out of 10 times. Right. Someone who leaves it out there every single night. So it's obviously a tremendous honor for him. So salute Russ. I think it's a no-brainer that within the next 4 games, he'll probably get 2 or 3, if not 4 triple-doubles to become the all-time leading triple-double king. So, again, man, shout out Russ on this great run, great career. And we know you still got more left, though, bro, so keep pushing. Next up, Carmelo Anthony passes Elvin Hayes for 10th on the all-time scoring list and is only 72 points behind the great Moses Malone. Rest in peace. So, I don't know if Melo will get it this year. He needs to average 18 in the next 4. To possibly get that with Melo, that's definitely not out of the question. But if he doesn't get it this year, he'll for sure get it next year. To think this dude was sitting out with the league thinking he wasn't, I don't know what the fuck the league was thinking, to be honest for you. We were big advocates for him. We still need to get him on the show. But the fact that he's been able to reinvent himself in his second act and do what he's done in Portland, helping that team on and off the court, and now the top 10 scorer of all time, and will most likely finish between top 8 or 9 scorer of all time. Talk to us about this accomplishment and Melo's greatness.
Well, I'm not surprised. He's been one of the best scorers since he stepped foot in the league. And that's one thing he does well is put up buckets. He's a walking bucket. We talked about earlier about guys we like to see with a ring. Well, Melo's one of those guys too. I would love to see Melo get a championship, man. I know it's kind of far-fetched with the way they've been playing and how they've been playing. But I think for the most part, man, him scoring and him being at the top in the top 10 is something that he envisioned. It's something that we saw that possibly could happen. As soon as he stepped in the league, like I said, he's a walking bucket. So, congrats to Melo, man, and keep going, bro.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out Melo. Still need you on the show. We're gonna definitely lock you down in this off season. But tremendous accomplishment, man, and I'm glad you've been able to reinvent your second act and be successful at it. Next up, Steph Curry and Bradley Beal going back and forth for this year's scoring title. Steph is currently sitting at 31.9. Brad Beal is certainly sitting at 31.4. Brad dropped 50 the other night. Steph said he knew that and came and dropped a 49 piece in only 3 quarters to keep his lead. This has been one of the, one of the better scoring battles. Obviously, there's been some historic runs. I think David Robinson had to drop a 72 one time to win the scoring title, but I think this will definitely go down to the wire between Steph and Brad. And again, happy for both these guys, but particularly Steph, because there's been a lot of slander. As great as he's been throughout his career is, oh, he's had this team, he's had that team, he can't do this, he can't do that. Well, this is the one year he showed, and you remember I said this at the beginning of the season, we're going to see Steph Curry's version of James Harden this year. And Steph definitely hasn't disappointed, shot the shit out of the ball. Brad's been playing great too, but thoughts on this scoring title coming down to the end?
Man, it's hard, man. It's hard because these are 2 walking buckets. Steph is carrying his team. I think coming down the end, he might get more shot attempts than Bradley Beal, but you never know because Bradley, him and Russ been playing well together. Even though Russ been averaging triple doubles, he's been making sure that Bradley Beal gets his attempts to win this thing too. So I'm gonna stay out of this one. Man. I think both of my little bros have a chance to win it, and I wish them both the best.
Yeah, absolutely. It's entertaining and just beautiful to see. I mean, just the way how pure of scorer these guys are is special, man. Last but not least, 20 years ago this week, we had a legendary battle between 2 former guests, Vince Carter and Allen Iverson. Both dropped 50 in the series. AI ended up averaging 34. Vince averaged 30. 76ers going to beat him. I think this is the series where Vince graduated and came back, and all that whole bullshit that people said he shouldn't have left and should have stayed focused. But, like Vince said, it was one shot away from making it and him being a hero that graduated and took his team to the next round. And instead he missed the shot and they talked shit. But anyway, man, 2 great Hall of Fame players. I remember that series like it was yesterday. And, man, 20 years ago this week. So crazy.
Yeah, man, it was something that we always remember, something that we won't mind going back and watching. I mean, anytime you get a duel like that, 2 greats like that, man, it's definitely must-see TV. But I was always glued when AI was on TV anyway, just to see what he was gonna do. You know what I mean? The passion he was gonna play, what obstacle he was gonna overcome this time, and seeing him and Vince battle. Vince making all these amazing plays and being half man, half amazing. I think everybody in the world was watching that game, but it was, that's history in the making, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people want to talk about LeBron took teams to finals that had no business being in the finals, with all due respect to his teammates. You look at the roster Allen Iverson had this season, and he took them to the finals and had the only blemish on the Lakers record because they stole Game 1 in L.A., or the Lakers would have went 16-0 in the playoffs. Allen Iverson's team had no business being in the finals that year, and I say that respectfully, but it was just the heart of AI that got them all the way through into the finals and was able to get them Game 1, to stole Game 1.
Yep.
So after plenty delays, the 2020 Hall of Fame class will finally be inducted this Saturday. Headliners, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and our brother Kobe Bryant. Some are saying this is the greatest Hall of Fame class in the history of basketball. We want to wish all of the people the best of luck, congratulate them. And again, obviously, we spoke about this. It'll be sad because I was really looking forward to hearing Kobe's speech, because I'm sure it would have been well thought of and articulated, and it would have been a speech that we always remember. So anyway, man, hope you guys enjoy it. Congrats to all the inductees. We've had a few of them on the show, Jack. We need to get Tim Duncan on the show, man. You need to make that homeboy call, that OG call, your paintballing buddy.
I'll try it.
Well, that's a wrap. You can find What's Burning every Monday on Showtime Basketball YouTube.
And on Twitter and Instagram at Show Basketball.
See y'all next week.
When unbeaten champions collide,
This is not a fight for the faint of heart.
expect all action. A fearless attack to win at any cost.
Oh!
And a fight destined to be an all-out war.
I am the end. Toe-to-toe we go.
Luis Neri and Brendan Figueroa clash for the world title.
This action is going to be and fuego.
This is the end. On Showtime.